Shabbat, right, from Bameh Madlikin, and he talks about the machloket of hancha עושה מצווה or הדלקה עושה מצווה. Okay? So he says, hancha עושה... What?
There's this part on the bars?
Yeah, in the back, it's in Chelik Aleph, after the Parshiot, he has Al Seder Hashas, and he also has Al Seder Nach. Right? Okay. And hancha עושה מצווה או הדלקה עושה מצווה. כתיב, נר לרגלי דבריך, ואור לנתיבתי. Okay? So what he very often does, the way he's mefarish psukim, right, it's just a poetic duplication. I don't know, there must be some term in literature for this, right? But ner liragli dvarecha ve'or l'netivati. Nativ and regel are comparable, just like the ner and the or are comparable, right? Tikbolet, parallel, right? So here he draws a distinction between the two. Okay, Nittiv hi hakalalim shel divrei Torah. Now that's actually whatever the pasuk is talking about divrei Torah, right? Saying divrei Torah are a ner and an or. Okay, so Nittiv, but he's saying the different aspects of divrei Torah. Nittiv hi hakalalim shel divrei Torah. Kemוך ואהבת לריעך כמוך זה כלל גדול בתורה. והוא שחז"ל הבינו שבזה הפסוק נכללו כל המצוות. Nittiv is, the truth is, regel, if you think about it, is a specific, right? Like every step, right? You talk about every step of the way, right? So the steps are the pratim, that the regel takes the steps, and the nitibati is the way, right? So there are general principles of the Torah, and there are the specifics of the Torah.
If it's ner mitzvah Torah, or again, that ner is something more specific.
Right, and the or, right, ner is, you see, has a distinct location, and or is just the matzav, right? Okay. והוא שחז"ל הבינו שבזה הפסוק נכללו כל המצוות, ואהבת לריעך כמוך, right? ונר לרגלי דבריך, היינו לכל פרט מעשה, ולכל פסיעה ופסיעה, צריך השם יתברך להאיר לאדם, ולא יסמוך על הכלל. You have here the dichotomy that appears many times that we've seen already, right? We've taught, like last week I did the piece with you with Yosef, with Ephraim and Yehuda, that Ephraim is the one who's like the general klalim, he symbolizes the general klalim, and Yehuda is the l'chol davar, he looks to God. So he has that dichotomy here as well. So the netiv is the general principle, but the regel is you don't have general principles. Every step is distinct. So you're not guided by the principles. L'chol psiעה ופסיעה צריך השם יתברך להאיר לאדם ולא יסמוך על הכלל. He doesn't feel that he can rely on the principles, because every situation is different. Every step you take is a different step. And the principle is almost something artificial. Right? כי לפעמים שלא יבין הפרט מהכלל ויבוא לידי טעות. Because the klal always has to be, when you apply the principle, there's always a process of translation. Right? Let's translate this principle into some sort of action. Right? That's what we do. So you have a halacha, it's not only an halacha, but you have a halachic principle, and you want to translate the principle into something specific. So sometimes you can translate incorrectly, and then you won't be acting in true accordance with the principle, because you misunderstood something. Right? So the principle is something which is further away from concrete action. It's in a sense, the principle is a hester panim. If God would tell you what to do here and now, you wouldn't need the principle. Right? So sometimes you feel you can't rely on the principle, right? But you have to look to God, right? צריך להאיר לאדם, צריך השם יתברך להאיר לאדם, ולא יסמוך על הכלל. Okay? וזהו העיביה, and this is the meaning of the question in the Gemara, הנחה עושה מצווה, היינו. It's very interesting how close to pshat this is. What is hancha? You put it down, you forget about it, right? That's like a general principle. You have something to God, you put it down, right? הנחה עושה מצווה, היינו, אם יש לסמוך על הכללים שהם מונחים וקבועים כפי הערתם, כן יעשה. Right? Whatever the klal tells you, that's what you follow. הנחה עושה מצווה. Right? או הדלקה עושה מצווה. Right? What is הדלקה? שאין לסמוך על הכלל, רק כפי שהאיר השם יתברך בכל פרט מעשה. It's not the hancha, you put it down and it burns by itself. Right? The mitzvah is the specific action. Right? בכל פרט מעשה. וזהו הדלקה עושה מצווה. היינו, התחלת האור שהשם יתברך צריך להאיר בכל מעשה. וכן הוא ההלכה. It's very antinomian.
It's weird, then he makes
saying
a principle out of it.
the halacha is hadlaka osa mitzvah. You can't just put it down and let it run by itself. You have to pay attention to every single detail. And what it means by paying attention to every single detail, it's that you cannot rely on the general principles of the halacha, but you always have to look to God for guidance.
Is this more radical than the Shluch Ken one, where he said sometimes you have to get rid of the klal?
It's the same idea, that the shalech shachat aim, sometimes you have to send away the klal.
But here you're saying it's more, here you're saying it's, that's the halacha
I think
every
there are different
time.
nuances. I'm not sure how much you could
If you can say
build on
right.
the difference in the nuances.
Well,
But
you could have said the opposite. How do you know what's the klal here? He doesn't say. I would have said the klal is vasita tova yashar bein Hashem, and the prat is hadlaka osa mitzvah. Or
oh no, but he's not, because what he's described. What do you mean? How does he know, or how do I know what he's saying?
How do you? I mean, I understand that in general that's how it is, but as you're reading this, I'm thinking this is exactly the opposite of what I normally think the Meshilach says. That the Meshilach, because here I would have think that the klal is asita tov yashar, and the prat is.
Yes, the klal might be vasita tov yashar, but how you translate hatov yashar, you need guidance from God. Right? So if after kemוך is a klal, right? But what are the pratim?
How do you know the guidance from God is not the Mishnah Berurah?
He's not. No, that's all part of the klal, right? The guidance from God is the guidance from God. It transcends the specific the law.
The Mishnah Berurah is still giving a law to everyone in every situation.
He's still giving a law to everyone, right? It's the klal. It's begeder the klalim. Right? And there's always, even when you have Mishnah Berurah, for example, you need to say, okay, now this case here, I have to translate and say this is the same thing here. Right? So there's a translation that has to occur from the book to reality. So he's keeping you away from the avodah zarah of the book. It's very interesting, right? And it's not so far from a certain way of looking at the mitzvah. You just put it down, and then it runs automatic pilot. You put, right? Hancha osa mitzvah. As long as it could light, when you put it down, that's it. I don't care. Hancha osa mitzvah. Or no, hadlaka osa mitzvah. I have to make sure that when I'm madlik it, that's when I'm kind of mitzvah. I mean, it makes me conscious of this moment as a special moment. And what he takes from this is this. What makes it special is that this moment I'm looking to God for guidance, and that's a general thing. And that's a general principle.
But
the general principle is that's
like
what Rav was used to say. Yes, the principle echad and neged principim, right? And so that's what you have here. Okay. So,